I had this concept at the time that if I could buy shoes that I didn't need, then I could take that money and possibly put it in the stock market. And during COVID, and, if you paid attention to what was going on in the world, you would have purchased some Zoom stock, right? And that always scares me because I'm like, so you bought $5,000 of that stock because somebody gave you a stock tip? Does he make money in the stock market? They're like, no, he just said it was going to win, so I got it. And I'm like, okay, please don't do that.
Hey, I want to welcome you to the next edition of Conversations with Brent. We have my sister-in-law, Shawnda Deramus. What's going on, girl?
Everything is good here. How about you, Brent?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. People always say, where do you get these guests from? They don't understand. I have a golden Rolodex. I have all these infamous people such as yourself. You could be doing a lot of things today, but you decided to hang out with me. So I appreciate that.
Well, thanks for the invitation. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
So as you know, we're in a financial series. So we have my niece on talking about the basics of a budget and spreadsheets, because she is a spreadsheet queen. Then we have one of my mentees. He's gotten into a little investing. He talked about credit scores. So after they get their budget together, they get their credit score up. Now they got a little, and I'll let you use your term, shoe money, to go to the next level and do a little investing. So let's talk about what got you started in investing and then how they can learn about investing.
Excellent, excellent. Yes, as I've shared with you, you've taken my stock class. I offer a stock class, which I'll tell you a little bit about in a minute, but I got started investing with shoe money. Essentially, I had this concept at the time that if I could buy shoes that I didn't need, then I could take that money and possibly put it in the stock market. And if I lost every dime, that'd be fine. But if I made some money, that'd be awesome. And, it would be wonderful to be able to purchase shoes with the proceeds instead of spending all of my money that was in my pocket. And so that's how I started investing. I would take out of my paycheck what I was going to purchase for shoes, and I would put that in the stock market. And at the time, I was essentially gambling because I didn't know what I was talking about. So I'd let it ride. And I got some beginner's luck, and then I started figuring some things out. And over time, I started realizing you probably could do this if you put a little more time, did a little more research, and got a little knowledge and did a little homework on what you were doing. And so that's how I got started.
That's pretty good, because I know I'd listened to Warren Buffett when I was first dabbling, and he was talking about how, like, you buy Wrigley's, they'll send you gum, certain companies will send you product as you make money. And so that kind of got my curiosity going. Was there anything that really fueled your curiosity? Because, as African Americans, a lot of times we say, oh, I ain't gonna invest, but we'll go buy lottery tickets, we'll bet on a football game or something like that. One thing I want to know is, why do you think we don't invest? Is it just lack of knowledge?
I think a lot of that's changing. Let me just say that. But I think in general, historically, we've had a distrust of many formal systems. So to put your money in something and then take a gamble that it's not going to just go away and you don't understand it. I think the other piece is that, think about it, most of our parents they had a 401k or a pension, they didn't talk to you about it.
Right.
And so you didn't know how that worked. And I think that does us a disservice. And then some of it comes just from this country. We live in a nation that will send you to school to teach you calculus and trigonometry, but they don't teach you basic things like budgeting and investing in the stock market. So I think part of it is attributed to our system in general, because we don't train people on stock market and those type of things, which really is not that difficult. So over time, I've happened upon people who were investing in stock, and I was always interested in it, and they were always willing to take me under their wings and sort of show me things. And over time, I started realizing that the advantage here is just, if you're a nerd and like to read things, which I do, you have an advantage, because I don't mind reading about different industries and reading about what's going on in a category. And so then it went from, I'm willing to put a little more of my money than shoe money if I really know a little bit more about the industries that I'm investing in. So that's sort of how I progressed. And then, one of those great people that sort of helped me was a boss of mine. He wasn't African American, but he invested regularly, and he would, he liked talking about it, and no one else wanted to listen, and I did. And as a result, I started sort of listening to what he was investing in and sort of how, he had one stock that he invested in, and he invested in that stock readily. And so, well, why are you so loyal to that one? He said, and he showed me the returns of that particular stock over 10 years. He says, why wouldn't I? It's been a great relationship. And so then I started realizing more about how to go back and look at trends and that kind of thing, and how to pick stocks that are your stock. One of my stocks is Johnson & Johnson. I worked for the company for years. I sort of understand the business. I understand when they have a quarterly report and if they say something, I'm like, oh, that's not a big deal. They'll fix this with, because over time you develop a relationship, you can pick out trends, and you know when to invest and when not to invest. So over time, I've developed my stocks that I like to invest, and then I love investing or researching other categories to also understand other ways. So during COVID, if you paid attention to what was going on in the world, you would have purchased some Zoom stock, right? That would have been obvious. Amazon would have been obvious. Clorox would have been obvious. So there were some things that were just obvious if you were paying attention. And if you had purchased some of those things while you were looking for toilet paper, because we couldn't go anywhere, right? We had extra money to spend on stocks. Because what were you buying? You were buying toilet paper and food, and then everything else you were in the house. There was no entertainment, nothing. And so had you actually taken some of that money and put it into the stock market, many of those companies went up 100, 200% over the last 6 months, which is unheard of. I don't want people to get accustomed to those types of returns. But as you start to see that, it makes you hungry to actually purchase stock.
And it's pretty awesome that you said that, because we have to remember stocks is a long haul game. Yeah, you can do some things, and I would never advise anybody to do day trading without really learning what they're doing. But there are some avenues that if you want to try to make some quick hits, you can day trade. But I think when you think about investing, it's more of a long haul game. Like you said, over the average of 10 years, and it may sound like that's a long time, but I tell people, you look at all the money you spend on lottery tickets day after day, week after week. If you would have put that in the market, you've have a greater return than them 1 or 2 times you hit.
Definitely. And I think part of investing also just develops a strategy of saving. And so you just have to find ways to save money. We have more money than we think we have. So in this country, the average middle class white home has a asset value of about $86,000. The average Black home, it's $11,000, and the average Hispanic home is $8,000. And so that's a disparity that has to be remedied. And some of that comes from, yes, better job opportunities, so you have more money to save, but some of it comes from discipline and putting more of your money aside so that maybe the next gym shoes or Gucci watch or whatever your thing is, and we all should have things, so I'm not casting judgment on anyone, but to make sure that we're putting our money aside so that we have things to rely on. Right now, our economy's going down. I'd much rather be in a household with $86,000 of assets than one with 11, right? And so we only do that if we're deliberate with that. So, I love talking to people about stock investing, but a part of the stock investing is people creating a discipline of saving as well. And over time, I enjoy seeing my stock portfolio go up because I've been saving much more than I do carrying a new purse, because a purse with no money in it is not of value to me. Don't get me wrong, I like nice purses, but I want to be able to put some money in the wallet too. And so I'm trying to marry those. But I find that more and more people really do have an interest. And I think that because of technology, the stock market is becoming more accessible to everyone. So there no longer do you have to worry about finding a stockbroker. You can teach yourself how to do things. You can go online and teach yourself things. And I tell people all the time, if you're going to do stock investing, constantly invest in learning more. And if that's just your decision is you're going to read a certain stock magazine every week, then that's fine. If you're going to take a class periodically, that's fine. But try to find ways to constantly increase your skills. I'm always working on new things and finding new personalities on YouTube. And not everyone out there is great. Some is good content, some isn't. But I think there are so many people out there who are willing to share their talent and share their skills. And if you just tap into it, you'd actually catapult your knowledge of stocks and probably make you feel a lot more comfortable about that.
Well, and one thing you said, and it reminds me of a picture. It was a picture of Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. And it said, I forget how many billions of dollars and not a Gucci belt in sight. And I mean, Warren Buffett had on the shirt, looked like it had little geckos on it and all this. And it's like, I heard somebody say the other day, we in the African-American community, we like to show our wealth. A rapper gets money, he goes out and buys a big chain and Gucci this, but somebody else, they keep living their lifestyle the same way. And then 10 years later, that rapper's trying to pawn that chain that he can't get nowhere near the value for, or he gets robbed of it, and other person is still living a comfortable life.
Right, and Warren Buffett's one of the best stock investors of all times. He still lives in the same house that he purchased early on in his career. He could afford probably one that's quadruple that, but he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't need to increase his expenses or whatever. So, you put your money where you want. I don't have an issue with you want a nice house. I just want to make sure that we all still have money to fall back on and retirements that are great. I tell my friends all the time, I would like for us all to live in a nice neighborhood in retirement. So we all have to save. Yes. So to that end, during the quarantine, I started a class and started inviting my friends to participate, and they started inviting their friends. And who knew that a business would fall out of the quarantine, right? The Lord takes circumstances that everyone else sees as bad and makes something good come out of it, right? And
That's
so
right.
I started a business. Yeah, my business is called Strategic 513, and you've taken my class. And so it was actually birthed from a friend. Sometimes our friends, you should have cheerleader friends, I believe that. And so I had one of my cheerleader friends, she says, you're always teaching us about stock investing. Why don't you teach a class? And I said, well, do you think people would pay me to take it? And she's like, I would pay you. She said, I probably owe you money now. So I started taking all of the experiences that I've had, put those into a very good course, and have actually improved upon that over time, developed a workbook that goes with it. And it's been great to see my friends come on board and think more strategically about how they're going to invest their money and how they're going to put more money into the stock market. And even if they don't, most of my friends that took the class have already taken the plunge and purchased stock, which they hadn't done before. But even if they just know better how to manage their 401k, that's still an advantage, right? Because we want to increase that and improve upon that. And you want to be able to ask the right questions. And I think most of the time, our parents did great jobs of teaching us. And I know your parents were probably similar. My mom taught me great work ethic. You cannot outwork me. I come from a mother who worked 2 to 3 jobs to get what she wanted. So if we wanted to go to private school, she and my dad would get together and they'd get an extra job because that was the solution available at the time, right? You always worked more. Well, now we know enough to know that causes illness and some other things because you're overworking your body. And there are other ways to make money. And to think that you can make money sitting at a computer doing some research or homework, I think that's an awesome concept. And everyone wants, multiple streams of income. So you don't want to just have the income from your job, but you want to have other ways to make money. So being able to share that with my friends and see them really get it. So recently we were at a dinner party and there were people that had taken my class in the room. And so someone asked, well, what was your experience? And I was just listening because I wanted to hear. And everyone's taking out their phone well, I bought some, they're telling what stock they bought and what it was on. And that led to several other people that invested sharing. And I love that because people say that we don't invest. Well, that was a group of African-American females, and many people in the room had invested, and many had gone a little further out into the water because of the class that I created. And so it just was a great feeling. So I really enjoy it. I have fun doing it. I have fun talking to my friends who do it. I find there's a great difference in how men invest and how women invest. So if I spend hour with you talking about stock or hour with my other brother-in-laws, someone's going to make a purchase. You're probably going to go overboard because you're like, well, I'm going to put extra money on that idea. Whereas oftentimes female friends, they're going to talk to you 5 times before they actually make the purchase. And so the purpose of the class is to accelerate that conversation so that both feel more comfortable. The guys know a little bit more about what they're looking for. And oftentimes people are buying stock and they don't understand the stock. So they got a stock tip. And that always scares me because I'm like, so you bought $5,000 of that stock because somebody gave you a stock tip? Does he make money in the stock market? They're like, no, he just said it was going to win, so I got it. And I'm like, okay, please don't do that. So the purpose of the class is to teach people where to go to look for the information. It's not that hard. How to trend stocks, how to pick out quality stocks that will give you a great return over time. And feel more comfortable with that decision. And even if your decision is, I don't want to pick stocks myself, I want to pick a mutual fund, well, then what mutual fund should you pick and that kind of thing. So that's the goal of the class, and that's the goal of all my conversations with my friends as well. But I've been very pleased with the internet groups that have come up that are actually investing in stock and talking about things. Now, Sometimes even those go a little bit left. I'm like, okay, that is the dumbest advice ever. But just having the dialogue makes you feel more comfortable and makes you want to do it more. And it's fun. And I enjoy stock investing. It's a blast.
It is. So how can they sign up for your class? How can they find out information about your class?
Yes, so you can get information regarding the class by emailing me at strategic, and strategic is spelled different. It's a K, strategic with a K, 513@gmail.com. So strategic513@gmail.com. And our classes are done online, so you can participate anywhere in the country. We do small groups so that you have the opportunity to ask questions and you don't have to feel like, sometimes in a larger group, you're afraid to ask questions and you think that possibly your question will be stupid, but no one has stupid questions. And because you're in a group, also, it makes you feel more comfortable that everyone else is learning what you're learning. And then we also do a lot of research and stock selection while you're in the class. So you don't have to feel like, you go to some things, you learn it, and then you get off on your own, you're like, okay, I don't feel comfortable because I didn't have a chance to do this with the group. So we do a lot of presentations. The class does presentations of different stocks that they're looking at, and also try to get people exposed to other stocks outside of what they normally would. So somebody might work for Federal Express, so they purchased Federal Express stock before, but you want to diversify. So we do different stock presentations in different areas that may pique your interest. And we do some that are a little bit more controversial, like the marijuana stocks and that kind of thing too, because that keeps it fun. So yes, but that's what you do for the class. So it's strategic513@gmail.com. Send me an email and I'll send you some information on what we're doing and what classes are available. But so far it's been really rewarding, and I'm really glad that my friends sort of pushed me out to get that started. I got some other ideas that are coming out as a result of the class as well. Finance workbook is probably the next thing we're working on.
Okay.
And then we're starting our November classes here in a minute. So just really excited.
When is the next class?
So the first week of November, we're so the group that's signing up, they'll tell me what days are the best days for them, and we'll declare the dates for the class. But the class is a 3-week class. You do once a week for 3 weeks, and at the end of that 3 weeks, you will be fully equipped to go out and purchase some stock with your shoe money or whatever, your windfall that you got from Vegas or your inheritance, whatever money you have, you'll be ready to do that. And so it just takes 3 classes. And when you think about 3 classes for 2 hours, and then you actually feel comfortable doing something that you'll be doing over the course of your life, it's a great investment.
Well, I just want to say I thoroughly enjoyed your class. Like I said, I knew a little bit, but how you broke down how to read a stock, how to kind of look and see where the stock is going. You taught us about, was it tailwinds?
Yes.
And so all that was very helpful. So I'm asking the people that follow Conversations with Brent, sign up for Shawnda's stock class, strategic513@gmail.com. Anything else you want to share before we part?
No, everyone, be safe during the quarantine. Keep your money close because the economy is about to have some rough spells. So you said you had someone on here talking about budgeting. Make sure we're all budgeting, tucking some extra money aside. You may not need it, but your friend and family may. So put that money aside. Let's make sure we all make it through the quarantine and this next year, which is going to be crazy. And we all come out on the other side doing well.
So one thing you said made me think of one last question. People say, I don't want to invest because the stock market going down. You said it's going to be rough. Why should I invest?
Right. So the reality is that the volatility of what's going on with our country has created a lot of opportunities. And so if you're a long-term investor, Disney is closed today, but you and I both know Disney won't be closed forever. Delta Airlines will fly again. And so learning about some of those business cycles for those businesses, the right time to purchase it, and how long it possibly will take for that to become a great investment. But if you think about it, stocks are just like clothes, they go on sale. And those things, and so Warren Buffett says you want to buy things when it's not popular to purchase it. So right now, it's not very popular to purchase some of those things because they're closed. But if you look down the road, those businesses will open again, they will do well again. And today it's on sale. So you just got to understand sort of historically the prices for that and purchase today. In addition, there's other stocks that have created opportunities. Many of the tech stocks are booming because of what's going on with COVID. Zoom stock, if you got at the beginning of the year, I think it's up something like 300-400%. you know, if you had enough sense to have that, it would have been wonderful, right? Federal Express is doing extremely well. So even in times of volatility, what you always have to understand is just because your pocket isn't doing well doesn't mean the economy or the stock market, and I actually probably want to say the stock market because the economy's not doing that great, but the stock market and the economy are not the same. And so there's always opportunities every day. Someone made money today in the stock market, regardless of whether or not you have no money in your pocket. And so learning those trends is what you want to do. And then based on what your goals are in your investing, if you're not going to use the money for 5, 10 years down the road, who wouldn't want to buy the stock while it's on sale versus when the economy recovers and everything's expensive and then you want to purchase it. So there's always opportunities in the stock market. You just have to understand what those opportunities are at the time. So no, plenty of money to be made, plenty of money based on the categories. You just got to know where to look. And that's what you learn in the class.
Well, I greatly appreciate your time. I love you so much, and keep doing what you're doing because it's trying to have a transfer of wealth. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank you all for tuning in to Conversations with Brent as we go through the financial series. Remember, strategic513@gmail.com. Signed up for Shawnda's class. Love you, sis.
Love you too. Thank you for the opportunity. God bless you.
All right. You can follow me at BK3Mill at social media. This is Conversations with Brent, connecting with people on all levels. See you next episode.